It's showtime. Welcome back to another video. This really popped when I saw it. That to me is a monster increase. Again, this book got hot. This book is ready to go higher. So let's jump right into it. We are back today with another statue review from Diamond Select Toys. Without further ado, let's get into the review. What is shaking, YouTube? This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and you guys ready for another Hot 10 breakdown of the week? I know I am. But before we get started in the video, like always, I remind you guys, if you're not a current sub of the channel, do yourself a favor, hit that sub button. Once we get to 8,000 subs, I've given away something awesome. I just haven't figured it out yet, but it's coming and it will be cool. With that said, I need you to do me a favor, smash that like button because I really want to get this channel up to 10,000 subs by the end of the year. And of course, as always, if you're interested in selling your collection, my contact info is in the description of every video. So with that said, let's get into this week's breakdown. Starting off the list is one of my favorite covers of all time, and it is a key to boot. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 129 and the first appearance of the Punisher, and it's also a classic cover by the great Gil Kane and John Romita Sr. Not to mention, there is the first appearance of the Jackal in this one as well. And we just had a CGC 8.5 sell for $2,300, but only up 2% over the average. Then we had a CGC 7.5 sale of $1,800, up 10% over that average. I'm finally happy to see this book back on this list. It definitely deserves some love. This book got crushed over the past couple of years, but it is still up since 2018, and that is what I'm paying attention to. You know, I'm a 100% buyer of this book, but only if you're a long-term holder, 15 to 20 years. That's the only way you're going to get the best bang for your buck right now. At the 9th spot this week, how about some Silver Age goodness? It is a copy of Silver Surfer number 1 and the first solo titled Silver Surfer series. This is also the origin of the Silver Surfer, and we just had a CGC 7.5 sell for $1,900, up an insane 36% over the average. Then we had a CGC 4.5 sale of $450, flat over that average. How about that one, guys? This book in high grade is up higher percentage than the book in mid grade. Now that's opposite of what we've been seeing over the past few months or so. Regardless, I love this key. I still think it's affordable in mid grade, and that's what I'm looking to buy. I'm not looking to buy a super high grade copy of this one. It is just not worth it to me at this point. Back on the list at number 8 this week is a copy of Star Wars number 1 and the first appearance of most of your favorite OG Star Wars characters. And we just had a CGC 9.8 sold for $3,654, up only 2% over that average. Then we had a lowly CGC 9.0 sell for $400, up 10% over the average. You guys know I'm not a massive Star Wars fan. With that said, if you are, you definitely have to own this book. It actually even predates the movie, believe it or not. With that said, I think it's a must-own book, but I don't want to spend $3,600 to own a 9.8. And get yourself a high-grade copy, maybe a raw one for a couple of $100. I'd be all over it, even if I'm not a crazy Star Wars fan. But even if you are, $3,700 is a lot of money to spend on a 9.8. Coming in at number 7 this week is a copy of Uncanny X-Men number 266 and the second appearance of Gambit, but this is also his first cover appearance. And we just had a CGC 9.6 sell for $281, up 16% over the average. Now, I've been saying over the past couple of months, I don't want to own this book in a 9.8 for the price that it's going for right now. But with that said, I know you can still find this book in super high grade raw for around $150, and that's how I would be spending my money to own this book. I don't want to spend the money in a 9.8 because 9.9s are coming, and I still think 9.6s are a little bit too expensive. Finally, a new book to this list at number 6. It is a copy of Uncanny X-Men number 58 and the first appearance of Havoc in costume. And we just had a CGC 9.0 sell for $785. Get this, up a crazy 39% over the average. Man, someone knows something. I can say it right now. And we just had a CGC 7.5 sale of $293, up another 19% over the average. Now, I got to say this right here, right now. I absolutely love this cover. I always have, and I should have bought it when I saw it at my LCS for like $35 a couple of years ago. Now, I think this book is way too expensive in high grade. If you can find yourself a mid-grade copy or hell, even lower for a really good deal, that's where I pull the trigger. I think at high grade, it's just way too much money to spend. Dropping all the way from the 2 spot down to number 5 this week is a copy of Uncanny X-Men number 94 and the first appearance of the new X-Men team in the Uncanny X-Men title. And we just had a CGC 9.2 sold for $1,952, up 7% over the average. We also had a CGC 7.5 sale of only $700, up only 1% over the average. This book is getting a little hot right now. I've seen people picking it up at multiple live sales, yourself included. I just picked up a copy of this book to add to the collection, at least for now. With that said, I still want to get a higher grade copy of this book, but I want to do it on the cheap. I bought my copy raw, signed by a couple of people. I think I spent a little bit too much money on it, but regardless, I think it's a decent time to pick up this book if you're willing to hold to the long term. Coming in at number 4 this week is one of the most popular books there is. It is a copy of Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 8 and the origin of the Black Symbiote costume, and this is also a classic cover by the great Mike Zeck. And we just had a CGC 9.6 sold for $279, up 4% over the average. Listen, with this book, there are a million copies out there. There's no reason to pay up for a super high grade graded copy. I see this book all the time in the raw form, anywhere from a 9.4 to a 9.8 for under $200. Yes, I would definitely be taking the chance of buying this book raw and trying to get a 9.8 out of it. I've done it multiple times. Hell, you may even get a 9.9 right now. I want to own this book. It is definitely a foundational book that other YouTubers talk about. Alex the Comic Quarter, I hear you, brother. So yes, it's a definite must own. Just don't overpay for books where there are a ton of copies out there. Coming in at the 3 spot this week is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 252 and the first appearance of the Black Symbiote costume in the Amazing Spider-Man title. And we just had a CGC 9.6 sell for $384, up 2% over the average. Then we had a CGC 9.2 sale of $250, up 17% over the average. Yes, I'd rather own a 9.2. In fact, your boy does own a 9.2, and I cracked it out of a CGC holder and kept it raw in my collection. Again, I'm going to repeat what I said for Secret Wars number 8. You don't need to own this book in a 9.6 and a 9.4 slab. Get yourself a raw copy, and you're going to pay a hell of a lot less for the same grade for this book. But yes, it's a foundational book, and it's always a must-own. Back on the list at number 2 this week is a copy of Wolverine number 1, but the newsstand issue. This, of course, is the first solo titled Wolverine issue and a classic cover by the great Frank Miller. And we just had a CGC 9.8 newsstand copy sold for $1,377, up a crazy 10% over the average. Then we had a CGC 9.2 sale, a newsstand again, for $255, up a crazy 34% over the average. Wolverine Insanity has officially taken over. Are you going to spend almost $1,400 on a newsstand copy of this one in a 9.8 when all the 9.9s and the Gemmin 10s are right around the corner? I'd love to hear from you guys. For me, I think you're throwing $1,400 right out the window. With that said, I love this book. It's a must-own in a 9.0 or a 9.2, under $200. I'm all over it. And finally, at the top spot again and making it back to number 1 is a copy of New Mutants 98 and the first appearance of Deadpool. And we just had a CGC 9.8 sold for $1,525, up 10% over the average. I've talked about it ad nauseum right now. I want to wait till this book gets to around $1,100 or possibly even less before I pull the trigger at a 9.8. And by then, the 9.9s have already taken over. Who the hell knows? I just want to wait till Deadpool 3 comes out and all the hype dies down, and then it might be time to go ahead and buy this book. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a fun one to make. I love seeing all the new books on the list, but it is now time for my best buy of the week. And the best book on the list this week is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 129 and the first appearance of the Punisher. It was close between that or Silver Surfer number 1. Usually it's silver over bronze, but because I love that cover, because I'm a big Punisher fan, this book is a must own. own. Hopefully you bought it back in 2018, 2017, but if you're still hunting for this book, yes, it can be owned, but you gotta be willing to hold on to this book for the long term. And I can tell you right now, it is a great one to own. Hope you guys enjoy the video. This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon.